What's up, Tech Smashers? I'm back again with another video, and I know you've been waiting a while for this one, but this is the OnePlus One, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at it. This is going to be an extremely honest review, so whether you dislike or like the video, feel free to do that below, as well as leave your thoughts in the comments about what you think about this type of video. So before we dive into this phone has nothing revolutionary about it except for the price. So say for instance, this phone was $700. Would you still be as hyped about it or more excited for it more than the HTC M8 or the Galaxy S5 or any other one of the flagship phones out there, the Nexus 5, Xperia Z2? Would you be more hyped for the OnePlus One than those phones if it was the same price? My point exactly. With that said, however, this phone is still a beast of a device and can definitely tear through anything you throw at it. So this is the OnePlus One. It's arguably one of the hardest Android devices to get your hands on due to its invite system, which if you've been subscribed here for a while, you already know about. Now this phone is more aimed at the power users since it comes with CyanogenMod out of the box, which saves you from having to root and install a custom ROM. And while the majority of people won't even know about this phone or even know the name OnePlus, it is highly respected in the tech community. So let's go ahead and find out why. So on the left side of the OnePlus here, we have the volume rocker, which is a little thin but feels pretty solid, and right on top of that is our micro SIM tray, which can easily be ejected with the SIM ejection tool included in the box. On the right side, we have the power button with nothing else surrounding it, and this button actually has the perfect placement for this size of phone. So whether you have big or small hands, this button is easily accessible. Looking down at the device here, we just have a microphone and a 3.5mm headphone jack at the top. On the bottom, we have a micro USB port, another microphone, and the dual mono speakers, which get a lot louder than I expected them to be. The front-facing shooter is a 5-megapixel sensor, followed by the notification LED, ambient light sensor, and the earpiece, which was a bit soft, but was drastically improved with the latest update. And finally, on the back of the device, there's the CyanogenMod logo, which will display proudly, followed by the OnePlus logo, and then our 13-megapixel camera, which is also capable of shooting in 4K, accompanied by its dual LED flash. The build quality of this device is impeccable, and while you might think a device for this price might skimp in certain areas, the build quality is definitely not one of them. It feels solid in the hand, and this specific model, the sandstone black, gives a nice grip, and its slightly curved back allows the edges to be thinner, making the entire phone feel slimmer and really helps it to fit in the palm of your hand perfectly. The metal edges around the phone also really add to the premium look and feel, and I can safely say that this phone definitely feels like a $700 device. Before we jump into the software, here's a quick overview of the specs. So the OnePlus One sports a quad-core Snapdragon 801 CPU clocked at 2.5 GHz, Adreno 330 GPU, 3GB of RAM, and comes in 16 or 64GB storage capacities. And the best part is that the 16GB model will cost you $299, while the 64GB model is available for $50 more at $349. And this price range is what all the hype is about surrounding this phone. You get flagship $700 specs for even cheaper than the Nexus devices with premium packaging and build quality. So if you thought that the packaging was one of the areas they skimped on to bring the price down, take a look at the unboxing video I did recently again. It certainly wasn't. Moving on to the software, this phone, as I said before, runs CyanogenMod out of the box. So once you get it, there's no need to root and flash a custom recovery and ROM to give you all the customization features. Baked into this ROM is a lot of customization, such as changing the battery icon, signal icon, theme packs, double tap to sleep, performance tweaking, which is the ability to change your CPU governor, quick settings and status bar modifications, and much more. Some simple examples of these customization features are the quick settings and power menu modifications. So with the quick settings modifications, you can easily add a new toggle by simply hitting the plus button and choosing the required toggle. You can touch and hold to drag or rearrange the toggles or drag them over the bin to remove them. With the power menu, you can easily add or remove options from showing up by simply selecting or deselecting them, and when you hold the power button, the options that you select will show up easily right there at a glance. Another impressive feature is the ability to switch between on-screen and off-screen buttons. This can really help users get used to using the phone whether they are coming from a Nexus device or another device with hardware buttons such as the Galaxy S5 or the HTC One M7. Screen gestures was another really nice inclusion, which allows us to double tap to wake the screen while the phone is in standby, draw a V to turn the flashlight on or off, or draw a circle to go straight into the camera, which actually takes us to the next point. The camera app on the OnePlus One gives us a much different experience to that of maybe the Samsung Galaxy S5 or the HTC One, as it allows us to quickly swipe up and down to switch between modes, which also gives us much quicker access to HDR. We can also take some manual control over the camera by changing settings such as the exposure, and we can also go a little deeper into the settings and change the resolution, enable time-lapse, set our recording quality to 4K and more. While the HDR mode is a bit oversaturated to some, I personally think it looks fine, and you can take a look here for yourself to decide. And by the way, if you were thinking that the camera was where the price of the phone showed itself, wrong again. Images are sharp and crisp, and dynamic range is really good. The overall use and everyday operations of the OnePlus One is snappy, fast, and extremely responsive. Switching between opened apps, navigating through the user interface, opening apps, and generally performing tasks is definitely a breeze and doesn't even make the device break a sweat. Overall, it's an extremely great device, but the only reason it received this amount of hype is because of its crazy price. Paying $349 for this monster is nothing short of a steal, and since I know some of you specifically wanted benchmarks, although I generally test devices based on everyday use, here goes. That's about it for this video, guys. If you liked it, if you disliked it, feel free to do so down below, right under the video. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to also leave suggestions for future videos and tell me what you think about this one. And that little red subscribe button down below somewhere here. Don't forget to hit that before you leave, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.